Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Talking Skritt, the Guild Wars 2 podcast about everything you want to know about what's going on in Guild Wars 2. I'm John, better known as Deo around Yaxben, and we have a fantastic show for you today, including Mesmers Get a TARDIS, Lootable Beta, and much more. But first, let me introduce you to our fellow host for today. He had a foolproof plan to get into the beta by finding a beta portal, but did he succeed? Say hello to Jim.
Is that, how many weeks is that now with the Ryan Reynolds movies?
He has a lot of movies.
Yeah, hi everybody.
And a writer for Guild Mag, and the winner of the Viewer's Choice for Talking Skritt host. Say hello to Aaron.
Don't watch Doctor Who, so I mean, I still got your reference at the beginning, but I don't watch Doctor Who.
And just so everybody knows, I did capitalize TARDIS all the way through since it is an abbreviation, so do not be angry by that. I don't want to see that in the comments. But let's hop right into it. I think probably one of the biggest announcements, we found out more information about our first elite specialization, and that was the Mesmer. And it is called the Chronomancer. How do you guys like the name? Do you like the skills and all the information they did give us with it?
Yeah, it was pretty sweet looking.
I was gonna say it is I know there's video to this, but some people might not be watching it, Malthana. So words are.
Yeah, I'm happy. The only thing I'm wondering about, like, they're showing, unique shoulder skins, unique shield skins. I'm wondering if that's going to be, part of the wardrobe system once you unlock it, or if they're going to tie it to just a class. So you have to have a Mesmer in order to wield those, and you have to be a Chronomancer. But I'm not quite sure they would do that.
So my reasoning with that is we already have class-specific gear in the starter gear you can choose when you create your character. And that can be, with the before the wardrobe, you could only have that on your class, but now with the wardrobe, we can have that on other classes. So I'm assuming they'll do these ones the same way, since they know how much people like to, how many fashionistas there are in Guild Wars and how big of a part of the game that is. So I think it'd be
to raise your hand, Aaron.
Yeah, me, I'm the worst of them all. But so for that reason, I think it'd be stupid to restrict it to just the classes. You have to earn it on the class, obviously through the specialization reward track, but you should be able to use it on other classes via the wardrobe.
And yeah, and that would even be a better marketing decision, because that means that people are more likely to go and buy additional character slots for classes that they don't already have to get the unique gear for the elite specializations. So.
Yeah, and I was going to say, that's, I think, the only way they could do it, just because it would be enticing. It would be weird if they went the route like, because would it be generalized to, only a Mesmer can use it, or can only this Mesmer that's using this elite specialization, or, the other specializations that are coming? It would eventually just be like forcing people to play. It'd feel like it'd go against what they've kind of done with Guild Wars 2 and their, philosophy thing, but...
Right.
Their philosophy thing.
Well, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of, no, they had a no-grind philosophy. Like,
tell me more about your no-grind philosophy.
I can agree. Well, yeah, let's save that for the after show. I don't know. I like the idea that they're giving more to the elite specializations than just the skills and the traits. It makes it feel more involved. So
yeah,
I'm wondering if they're going to do anything additional to just a couple of unique skins.
And they're using the hero point system that you're going to have to go into that elite specialization and, get all the minor traits and major traits and whatnot. So it would be an enticing way for people to actually do it, maybe just for the gear skins alone. Like, if I'm not going to play my Mesmer that much, but it's like, I could get pretty cool looking shoulders. And
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say that's one thing that that's how I kind of feel about it is I don't really play Mesmer, and as cool as this class looks, and it does look really cool, this specialization, I'm still probably not gonna play it very much, just because Mesmer is not really my cup of tea.
Yeah, I think I know for me, I feel like I'm going to fall into that spot too, but I'm definitely probably going to try it because.
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely. It's my Mesmer is probably my least played character. I got him to level 80, and that was about it.
Me
So.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I did the same thing with when they announced the original classes for Guild Wars 2, and I was like, oh, I want to play that one. I want to play that one. When I saw that, I was like, I want to play it. And for people that don't know, the Mesmer is getting a shield, and it seems like it's well, since it's the Chronomancer, it's very much revolving around time magic of sorts, and definitely has some interesting mechanics to it. I feel they're gonna have alacrity, which is very much the reverse of chill in the sense that the chill will
Reduce
or
movement speed by
lengthen.
66% and skill recharge by 66%.
Yeah, it lengthens the
increase
cooldown of
skill
your skills,
recharge, yeah.
whereas alacrity does the opposite. It shortens it.
There's also a new effect that's coming in with Heart of Thorns, the slow effect, and alacrity is pretty much the opposite of slow.
Hmm.
I thought slow is like the opposite of quickness, where it slows the execution of your skills, not the cooldowns.
Oh, you might be right. You might be right. I might have it confused. I think you might be right.
Okay.
But I mean, ultimately, it definitely feels like they're doing a good job of basically each boon and condition is a counterbalance of one another. So it can make for good standoffs in PvP and World v World.
Well, and like you can nullify a condition on yourself if you can apply the opposite on yourself. It's not, a perfect. It's not a condition removal, but I mean, it's something for you.
It should also be noted that as of the blog post, and they said it on they made it clear on the live stream too, that alacrity is, as of right now, an effect, not a boon. A boon is a subclass of effect. So boon duration, boon-related traits won't be tied to alacrity in any way.
Though they did mention, I was reading through some of the notes that Delphi put together for the live stream that they will have traits available to increase the duration of alacrity they apply. Which
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
okay
thanks for
with
bringing that up.
Yeah.
Because I was referring to it in the sense of it was a benefit to your character, but
Right.
I definitely didn't want to make the confusion that it can be increased with boon duration.
Well, that and what is it? There's the one signet that the passive randomly gives you a boon every few seconds. When you activate it, you share your boons to nearby allies. So if it was a boon, it would get kind of silly at that point.
Now, as far as I'm aware, I believe on the live stream they said there is a specific, and we'll get to this later, the new wells that the Mesmer is going to be receiving with the Chronomancer. There's one of them that will grant alacrity to your allies.
Mm-hmm.
But they're that's one of the few ways you'll be able to do it. Like they're trying to severely limit giving alacrity to allies because that would just be insanely overpowered if you could just do that all the time.
Yeah, oh, that'd be terrible.
And Chad is saying alacrity is the opposite of chill. I wasn't sure if it went to the extent of, because I know chill does makes you your skills recharge. Does it actually make you move faster? Because chill makes you move slower as well.
Alacrity will not increase movement speed, I believe. But
I was actually thinking about that. I was kind of hoping they'd add it in because that would kind of amuse me, just to have.
That would undermine swiftness a little bit, though.
Yeah, and that's why I was
kind of underwhelming.
I know they referenced it and said it was very much the opposite of chill, but I think it's only to that respect.
For the cooldowns, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as of that blog post, that was the first I heard that. Before that, I didn't know chill reduce cooldown or increase cooldown. I thought it only reduced.
That's been there forever.
Yeah, I didn't know that before then.
Heck, that's the actual reason that I took the what is it, Glacial Heart for Guardian, yeah, since I use Hammer on my Guardian. It's the cooldown increase is really devastating if you can keep swinging with it,
But like Aaron was saying, they also are giving Mesmers Wells with the Chronomancer. And how do you guys feel about it? I know we have one person from our guild in chat, and I know throughout the whole week they definitely weren't a fan of it. But like I said, how do you guys feel?
I have a minor overall I'm pretty fine with it gameplay wise. It's just if you're gonna have classes in your game, one of the things that gives classes identity is in Guild Wars at any rate is certain skill types. Certain classes get certain unique skill types, and that's one of the biggest things that differentiates classes from one another. And for Necros, Wells was their thing. It was their thing in Guild Wars 1, and it was their thing in Guild Wars 2. And now they've spread that to Mesmers, and so that's one more thing that Necros now don't have unique about them. And so I hope they don't make a habit of doing this, or else what's the point of classes?
The only I can agree that it's a bit of a slippery slope, but as of right now, it is locked to the Chronomancer. There are, and I remember I was talking to you guys about this last week, that if you have given all 6 specialization tracks, the 5 trait lines now that are being turned into specializations, and then the elite specialization, so you've got 6 tracks, you can pick 3 of them, which means it is 6 times 5 times 4, because you remove one from the list every time you pick one. It's 120 possible combinations per class.
I'll take your word for
it. I mean, granted, you can pretty much cut that in half, because I can guarantee not every single combination is going to get used by every person. Yes, I'm sorry, I go heavy into math. Forgive me. But it's...
Yeah, leave him alone. What does he look like, a scientist?
I am a science guy. I have a degree in it. Part of it, anyway. Stop throwing me off my train of thought, Dale. But it's... They can't make Chronomancers so ridiculously overpowered that people ignore the rest of being a Mesmer. So that means that not every Mesmer is going to be throwing around Wells, and not every Mesmer is going to be slotting all Wells. So it's really think of them as glamours that do damage, really.
But they're Wells.
Well,
yes, the yellow text on the tooltip says they're Wells.
I would say I do agree. From Guild Wars 1, we very much had each class had a signature or an archetypal skill type of thing, and Wells were kind of that for the Necro. And I was talking about this last night, was Wells for the Necro in Guild Wars 2 are very much condition based and don't really apply boons to the allies, where this one, apart from I think the one well that you get that's just a straight damage, that I think they felt every single one had to have, just because it's got to do damage somehow. You can't really have we all know you can't really have a full support character and do, I don't think you can do a full support character. You can do one that can heal decently, but it's you can't be a healer. You can't be in this game.
Another kind of annoyance for Necros about the Mesmer Wells is that the Mesmer the Mesmer Wells are pretty much more powerful than the Necro Wells, which is kind of stupid, seeing as Wells were a Necro thing to begin with, and now their Wells aren't as good. Sure, the Necro Wells pulls 5 times, whereas the Mesmer ones pulls 3 times, but the Mesmer ones have an extra effect at the end that's completely different from the entire well itself, and I think that is a lot more powerful than the 2 extra pulses, so that kind of annoys me a little bit.
As it stands, I agree. Looking at the numbers, it is off, especially since Wells were a Necro thing. And I use Wells. I enjoy using Wells on my Necro. But I'm going to wait to get too upset about it until they release more Necro stuff.
And I was going to say, that's the important thing to take from this, because this is coming from the Points of Interest live stream they had Friday. And they said 100 times in there, and they said it when they were showing the core specializations last week. These numbers aren't final. They're very much placeholders, so it might do a lot less damage, or since it's going to tick 5 times or 3 times, and they might readdress the Necro Wells themselves. We don't know ultimately, but yeah. I would hope so, if they're improving a well mechanic, especially for another class. If this is like if you think of necromancers and you think of wells and that's how they feel in that mentality, I would hope they would show love to that.
But what I'm worried about, class-wise, like this is a game with classes, so clearly classes need to be differentiated from one another. What if they give a skill type from another class to another class in each of the specializations? Like that's gonna be stupid, right?
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I was actually thinking here, but like, yeah, it'd be weird if like somehow spirit weapons went to like necro, but I mean, you kind of could.
No, don't say that.
Oh, I don't want it because I don't want a useless thing to go over to necro. I want something good.
Another useless minion.
Yeah. I was actually messing around with spirit weapons now that you mentioned that. I was trying to mess with those in Silver Waste. I was in a lane that didn't use the reflect wall, so I'm like, what can I use on my skills here? I'm like, let's slot the hammer, just because I've never actually used a spirit weapon skill. And I'd use it, I don't even think I'd see it attack, and then it would go on like the 50-second cooldown, so it's like, okay, it's dead.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of spirit weapons. Like I said, I hope they not only do the elite specializations, but they're looking at the core specializations. I hope they readdress core skills as well. Maybe not for launch, maybe before in the feature patch or whenever we get the system in place, or maybe sometime after. I mean, I just hope they don't throw it away.
Yeah, I agree with what Malthanus said earlier. They should have just made these glamours. That'd be better.
Well, I mean, I honestly, I think I've just been messing around with mantras, so I know glamours are stuff you throw out. They're ground-targeted stuff. Is feedback a glamour?
Yeah, they're basically like you said, ground-targeted AoE effects. You know,
Right.
They're essentially like wells, but they don't. They even pulse like wells. Some of them do like null field, but they just don't have the same push and pull mechanic that wells do. Some of them do, but some of them don't.
Well, and I was going to say, and chat brought it up, make them change the name and problem solved. Is it just the name of wells? Because, I mean, if you think about it, if you spec right ranger traps, you can throw them out and they apply conditions. Like, a lot of times they're kind of more close to the well than the Mesmer wells.
The tooltip is everything.
All right, well then ArenaNet, that's the only thing you need to change. Focus on like they're just call them, since it's a Mesmer, maybe the idea of entertaining instead of wells, call them swells.
Oh my God!
Don't do that.
Oh God! Why?
Save that for the pirate specialization for thief.
No,
because they'll be sailing.
Oh, geez, now you're both doing it. No, they're only called swells if you equip Quip.
And if you equip
should that be
Quip,
a legendary feature? It changes your tooltips to swells.
If you equip Quip, just quit Guild Wars. Just do that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Did we talk about the shield? Because they showed.
I was gonna say, let's talk about the shield skills themselves. I know the 5 skill because that was the one I was kind of interested in.
That was the one they showed in the video, yeah.
Well, I think they showed both.
They showed both.
5 they showed a lot more, I think.
Well, so one thing I'm confused about, I didn't really catch this watching the video, is 4 the reflect wall or is 5 the reflect wall?
5 is
so
the
4 is the shield bubble.
Yeah.
I'm actually a lot more excited about the shield bubble because it's like the Guardian shield bubble. It even has the same animation. It's just a different color, but you can move around with it.
In going back to the well topic, Age brings up a good point in chat. It's possible that Necros will still retain better trait support for wells.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, as it stands, you're probably only going to see traits that affect wells in the Chronomancer trait line, or specialization line.
So now are we going to... But my question is, so traps aren't either class's identifying factor. For Rangers, it's their spirits, and for Thieves, it's their venoms. So I could definitely see Rangers getting venoms, but then we'd run into the same problem we're running into with the wells on the Chronomancer, and I don't want to see that seep out everywhere.
It's one of those things where it's... I can agree with the point that the class that had it first is going to be better with it. So, like Necromancer... What's that?
That's the problem here, though, is that the Mesmer wells are better than the Necro wells.
But like
As it is now, like we
As
don't
of
know
right
if they're
now, yes.
revamping, but yeah, as
Getting
for
motivated
what we
will help.
see, unfortunately,
Yeah. He did say they're probably going to nerf Gravity Well, because that looked OP.
Like they said, too much CC and
Yeah.
mobility.
I won't lie. I wish they would add like little, or I hope you can trade into it. It reminds me of, I don't know if anybody ever played it. I think it was Sacred 2, where you could actually have like your caster or whatever pull in people, and if enemies collided, they actually took damage.
That's actually kind of cool.
So I actually made a
Nice.
build one time where you could actually like push people away and bring them back. So I just ran around just like boom, boosh, boosh, like it was kind of fun.
Oh my
It was
god.
horribly useless, but
Well, no. Now we have someone that can actually stop Ranger 4 skill. No, bring them back here.
oh no. Oh
I
god,
just-
you're just saying that. I could see like people running into the shield skill to get their stuff on cooldown faster, so they can do it again. Take Alacrity out altogether. I don't want Rangers using their knockback more often.
I just had a sudden. This is probably just a malfunction on my part, but we have knockdowns in Guild Wars 2, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I was thinking, and I was like, I can't think of any knockdown skills. I can think of knockbacks and pulls, but not knockdowns.
Yeah, there's I believe there's
And
not.
in chat, they're saying, yeah, Torment was supposed to be a necro thing. I mean, and now a lot
Was
of
it
classes do it
only
better.
supposed to be a necro thing? I thought they gave it
I
to
think
Mesmers and
originally-
necros right off the bat.
Yeah, I think originally it was supposed to be like kind of geared towards the necro with the idea of like Torment, and it sounds necro-y to me, but
A necro honestly feels like it has more abilities to make someone run, to make them take more damage from torment, whereas a mesmer, it sounds more like you're supposed to be able to dodge around someone and not necessarily, have them come to you, so they might not be running all that much. So honestly, conceptually, looking at it, you take what, like double or triple damage when you're moving from torment? Necro feels like it would work better with the mechanics of it, with the fears and all that stuff. So
They just need a reliable way to stack it right now. That's the problem.
yeah, I think my Necro gets it on the Death Shroud 5 skill, the one
Yeah.
with the tethers.
Mhm.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you can stack it really well on Mesmer through Shattering, and I think someone was saying last night to me that you can do it really well on a Warrior as well.
For sword. 'Cause
Yeah,
It's what? The
Which-
4 skill, the Impale.
yeah, I don't think Warriors should have Torment. That's stupid.
yeah, and chat's asking like, not sure, but they're pretty sure that other classes got Torment after, and I'm 99% sure that it was initially put into Necros and then everything else.
Oh,
Yeah, and you can't even, I don't know if there are skills to reduce the cooldown of Death Shroud abilities. I don't even remember that from, messing around with traits on my Necro.
But I mean, and I'm kind of glad we jumped back to Wells, because what Aaron was talking about with shields, I mean, let's bridge that gap. You say you don't want Wells for Necromancers, but you're okay that the shield skill that the Mesmer's getting is pretty much the Guardian one.
it doesn't function the same way at all, and it's a weapons. It's the skill type is a weapon skill. All the classes have weapon skills.
All right,
It's about the skill. It's about the skill type,
Also,
not what the skill does.
the engineer for the shield.
Well,
Where
I'm
it's
just saying,
you have
so
3 seconds to block.
it's about the type. So if they named these Wells something different,
Yeah, no, I'm serious. It's all about what they file the skill under.
I don't know. It seems like they just tried to name it an already existing skill type just to make it easier for people to understand what it was and what it did.
and that's the thing. Maybe
So-
they're trying to do this so down the road they talk like we have rune sets that are like, if you're more damage if you're holding a bundle item, which could be the engineers kits, conjured weapons, anything like that. They say maybe they're gonna make a rune set where or I don't know if they already have it, where it increases well potency or
I don't think there's anything on wells.
so
You know what
maybe,
they should have called? They should have called them vortexes. That's what they should have called them. I'm
Or
heard it
rift.
here first.
I was gonna say, you know, Arena, this is the perfect time to use like a slider reference, or I mean, come on, like.
Oh God. No, that was I marathoned all 5 seasons of that once. Never again.
But I mean, overall, do you like not even thinking about, you know, they stole wells from necromancers? Like, do you like Mesmer Elite Specialization by itself?
Yes. I mean, it's cohesive in a
Yeah,
way that
like-
I have trouble like putting a spec together on my Mesmer right now. I think that's why I don't play him that often, is because I'm having trouble figuring out how I want to play him. But it seems more cohesive, so yeah, I like it as it stands right now.
What do you guys think about the fact that some classes are going to get offhand items which only offer 2 skills? Some will get a main hand which will offer 3, and some will get a 2-hand which will offer 5 new skills. That's a bit imbalanced, no?
Everybody's getting a new weapon, and technically if you get an offhand, that still gives you access to combo that with all of your other main hands. So technically, as it stands, Mesmers have how many main hands? Sword,
Sword,
Scepter.
scepter.
That's just it?
Yeah.
Can't they do main hand pistol? They can't do that?
No, just offhand
Okay.
pistol.
People
So-
would love that.
Yeah, people.
See, I don't play Mesmer.
Yeah, I would have loved to be able to dual wield pistols on my Mesmer, but no. And I think it's just sword and scepter. But you technically have 2 different skill sets there to work with. So
Yeah,
if you get a 2-handed weapon, you have those 5 skills, and that's it. I mean, it's greater flexibility within that one weapon, but you can't mix and match it as much. So
yeah, that was more of a devil's advocate question on my part. I don't really care. But a lot of people are just like, they get more new skills than me. That's not fair, you know? And it's like, yeah, but you can't. It's like you said, you can't pair them up with anything. Like Scepter Shield, that's going to be amazing because of all the blocks.
Yeah. It's
yeah, because it's what? It's the 2 is a block. You'll have a
2 is
4
a long block. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another one that applies Torment, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think when you dodge on that one, because it's either or is it scepter? Because I know, or
Yeah, the Scepter 2, when you successfully block, it'll apply Torment.
It'll create a
Okay.
clone that applies Torment, yeah.
yeah. But I mean, they really like dived into this on their points of interest live stream this past Friday. At the very end, they did kind of tease us about they will be doing so far what seems weekly elite specializations, which, you know, I think we were all pretty sure that was going to be the case, but we were also worried that it wouldn't be. So for right now, it seems like they're going to go week by week with the new specializations, but they would not tell us what this one is. What do you guys think it's going to be?
So
Who's the next
there's
one up on the chopping block?
there's a theory going around that they're revealing these in the reverse order that they revealed the Guild Wars 2 professions in coming up to the launch of the game, because Mesmer was last, but that's not really a theory at all, seeing as we've only had 1 reveal so
No
far.
pattern yet.
Yeah, exactly. So who can tell, really? I don't really remember what that order was. I just remember that Mesmer was last, and I think Engineer was second to last.
Engineer
So-
was first, I believe.
Oh, was it first? Okay, then I don't know what that order was.
No, I'm pretty sure Guardian was first, because I remember seeing
Really?
a lot of those images of like the paladin looking like kind of like praying with his weapon.
See, I want to say Elementalist was first, but
I think maybe it was like Elementalist and Guardian were kind of the first ones, because I think they did Elementalist pretty early on just because it was kind of
It's one of the bigger archetypes in fantasy games.
this is what
Yeah.
they want, guys. They want chaos. They want us to not be able to form a cohesive speculation.
okay. Chad is saying Ellie was first. Like I knew it was early on, but and Chat's also asking if they're ever going to reveal guild halls.
I know, right?
I mean, what much more is there after the elite specializations that they announce? I mean,
Yeah,
I was
like
really hoping for guild halls
at
with
least
that
the mechanic of it.
email.
Like, it's them.
Yeah, the specialization system, the elite specializations, and then guild halls are pretty much the big thing. We know how the
But
zones in Maguma are going to work. We know how the new system changes are going in. Guild
Yeah,
halls
so
is the last big feature after all the specializations. So
unless they're really keeping something hush hush, like they're like, oh yeah, we didn't say this at like the release or the announcement
well,
or anything like that, but it seems like it's the last big pillar.
well, unless the Wyvern was their big showcase for the new group content they teased about at the PAX reveal, they haven't revealed whatever that's going to be yet. And if the Wyvern was their big reveal, then letdown. But what I'm worried about is now that they are on the specialization road, that's going to leave us, 8 weeks of no guild hall info, just 8 weeks of nothing but specializations, and that's going to get old
I'm
real
not
quick.
surprised at that.
And chat is saying if it goes by reverse order, NG would be next. And I was actually
Then I was
thinking
totally wrong.
because Ruby during the live stream at the end does turn to Josh, who is well known for playing an engineer. I thought that might have been like a little hint, like, oh, should we tell them? Like, so I thought it might have been like a tease or something. So I'm probably gonna bet on NG myself. I mean,
I'll take my hammer and my drones. I'll be
Yeah,
happy.
I don't know. I still think it's stupid that NGs are getting a hammer, but yeah,
It makes sense.
it doesn't.
Hammer or mace.
It doesn't make sense.
Okay, just turn the hammer into a giant wrench.
A mechanic doesn't use a giant two-handed maul. They use
no,
like
I mean, what if that's like a bundle that these?
unless the specialization is
drop.
railroad worker, I don't see it making any sense.
Well, I mean, what would be your ideal NG weapon?
There isn't one. They don't. There's no more that they can have.
Oh, okay. Well, good thing you're
They
not
would
the
have-
developer for.
They would have a bunch of new kits, and that's it.
And they are getting a new kit, so that we know of.
Yeah, but in my world, they would have a bunch.
Okay.
Just like all
If
of
I
them.
had to choose one though, either dagger or mace. Mace makes a little more sense than hammer.
Wow. Chat's saying like I'm surprised Guardian was that late. Maybe I had dreams about it early on. I don't know.
Well, they might have been throwing out the artwork before they ever released the information about it because, I mean, they had fantastic artwork for it. So
Yeah.
They have
I don't know, I just
fantastic
remember
artwork for everything, to be fair.
yeah, like the art
Sometimes I
direction was
just
great.
sometimes I just go to the profile of their lead artist, his big portfolio, and I'm not going to try to say his name because I butcher it. It's got a bunch of K's in it, and I look through this guy's portfolio for half hour at a time. It's amazing. They do amazing art. All the other artists do too, but I don't know their names.
To be fair, you said
Good save. Good save.
you know this guy's name, but you don't want to say it. So
It's like I keep wanting to say it's something Kotaku, but I know Kotaku's not it because Kotaku's a press website.
Just stop there. Just stop there. This is going down a bad road.
yeah,
Is mispronouncing someone's name really that bad?
The way I could see you mispronouncing it, yes, it could be.
People get so offended these days. Okay, moving on.
yes.
But also in the live stream they showed on Points of Interest, they were saying you might be able to try these at our next beta or when it goes live. Well, they did give us information about beta and how to secure your spot for the next closed beta. And I'm wondering how you guys feel about it, and also chat, because I don't remember ever seeing this in a game. Like,
Yeah,
and there might be a game out there. I mean, if you know it, please put it in chat or comments if you're watching YouTube. But basically, you can get it as a drop in 2 particular zones. I mean, what do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, the zones are Dry Top and Silver Waste, obviously, because they're the ones that are going to lead into the heart of the Maguma. But I honestly think it's a great idea because who are the people you want in your beta? You want the people who want to be in the beta, because they will be actually helpful. So this is a way for the people who want to be in to potentially get in. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Like the RNG email system is probably not that reliable for, a high rate of good feedback among the participants. So I definitely think this was a good plan.
And basically, for people that don't know, it's basically given the item as a drop, and like Aaron said, in dry top and silver waste, and it's a low chance.
So
And I think from when I saw Malthanis grinning
I
over
got the thing.
over to his shoulder, I think I already know what they were discussing.
Yeah, both me and my wife got the portal, and I like going back to talking about like the system. It's like I get why people are mad because RNG is RNG. I mean, I've played World of Warcraft for years before coming to Guild Wars 2. I am totally familiar with praying to RNGesus. But
Well, you're gonna have to deal with chat because
you know what?
one person's saying 26 hours and still nothing.
Yeah, I know, and that's the part that sucks. But I was actually having a talk with Robin about this in IRC the other day. That apparently it can drop twice for you. Like there's no lockout for the drop, and you know, hey, that's just another 25 silver in your pocket if you feel like selling it. I'm sticking it in the trophy section of my bank just because hoarding is real.
Oh yeah, I would keep the hell out of that item.
And that'll sit right next to the Scarlet's journal in my bank.
Is that EP linkage? Like,
No, it's you know, sometimes you want to look back at like all the stuff you've done. I'm sure like my bank in World of Warcraft is full of crap from all of that too.
Chad just said someone got 8. That my heart give me.
Well, that is unfortunate for some people, like this person in chat who's farmed for hours and hours and hours and gotten 0. But at the same time, I have to say you don't get to be mad about RNG. You don't get to be mad about it because it's RNG.
I think go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, me getting it once, someone getting it 8 times, it doesn't affect anybody else's chances. Because the prohibitive factor here is the fact that it's such a massively low drop chance. So it's not like everybody's going to get it. So they're still going to be able to ballpark the number of people. They don't have to put a cap on it.
Yeah, they never said you are guaranteed a beta, to get this item drop. So you don't get to be mad when you don't get this item drop.
You say the person that got 8 doesn't affect me, but if I have a tinfoil hat, it does though. It does.
You can still get that email though.
Like
and I was going to say that's the important thing to note that on their frequently asked questions section of the expansion site, it says like our next test will use this method, and this is referring to the portal of the Heart of Maguma, this item, but also they're going to send out emails. So maybe if they feel like they didn't get enough, so there is still a chance that you can get in. I mean, it's not solely through this, but I'm kind of intrigued of could they extend this to other things, but I mean, we'll talk about that in a second. The one thing is this is not affected by Magic Find, and someone on Reddit, I think just today or last night, posted from a dev in, I might have been Dry Top, or it was one of the zones, that the Magic Find is not affected. I mean, how do you guys feel about that?
I don't think it should.
Yeah, neither do I. That was actually something we were talking about when we were going over the show notes beforehand. That's when they say they want to ballpark the number of people that are getting into the beta, they can't have that being thrown off by Magic Find.
Yeah.
If they say that, we have the drop chance of 0.01% or what have you, and, the entire player base plays Silver Waste and Dry Top for this week, we're going to have roughly this many people in the beta.
Yeah.
So
it's like this is a closed beta. They don't exactly want it teeming with players, like a few thousand at the very most, at least in my opinion.
And Chad is one step ahead, because that would have been my next question. Is like at this point, what does Magic Find affect? Like, it doesn't.
Random drops. That's it, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't affect like the looting of a chest. It basically, as I was thinking of it, it kind of balances out everything. Like, because I mean, we all know when you get a chest, you're not getting probably the greatest items.
Imperial fragments.
I'm going to use my Chronomancer skill and go back in time and repeat.
Yeah.
You're not getting the best of items.
Wouldn't that be awesome if when you used that F5, it would reset like a chest?
Oh, that would be horrifically broken.
Well, I was gonna say, I was saying last night they should put a like purposeful bug into the beta that if you went over the Mystic Forge and like use your skill, you could actually get another shot at it. Not
But
not for live, but
with the Magic Find thing, the people who are going to have the highest Magic Find are obviously going to be experienced players. So you want experienced players in your beta, but you also might want not as experienced players for the differentiation between the two types of feedback. You want feedback from both types of players. So I don't think.
But
I mean,
don't
at
think
the end of
Magic
the day,
Find would help
even
with
if it's
that.
a 1% chance, 300% Magic Find doesn't really give you. It's 3%.
well, is it a multiplier? Or is
Then
it
what's the
additive?
point of making it affected at all?
Yeah. Like, it really is such a prohibitively low chance, and that this is something a big deal. Why bother even including it in the Magic Find?
And what you were saying, Aaron, is you want people that are actually playing the game that maybe aren't as experienced as these people that have 300%. Well, then why seclude it to 2 level 80 zones when maybe someone came back recently, it's only like 40, 50?
Because it's level 80 content, and you need people who know how to play level 80 content to be testing the level 80 content.
Because all of Maguma is going to be level 80.
Level 80 isn't that difficult to attain. Just
No.
because you're a relatively new player doesn't mean you're not level 80. So they can have, people who've played 80, 90, 100 hours in this beta test, because you can easily get level 80 in, 40, 50 hours, even playing just regular
Less
matches.
than that.
Yeah.
But it
So
still goes
just because
back
you're
to
level 80 doesn't make you an experienced player.
true. But someone that's 50 might be more experienced than a level 80. And they can't get into this beta through this method alone.
If you're level 50 and you've been playing longer than a level 80, I don't know
Well,
what
I
you're
mean,
doing.
time management. I mean, if they're busy, or
If
they
they're busy,
might
you
have just
probably
came
don't
back
want them
and
in the
wanted a
beta because
fresh
they won't be
start.
able to play very much.
I can also agree with that. Is it would be kind of be like if somebody came back and they don't have much time to spend, who's to say? Like, that's the thinking about the previous method of here's an email for signing up to a newsletter, you're in the next beta test. Who's to say that person isn't on vacation for a week and the beta test is smack dab in the middle of that?
Yeah.
So
But I mean,
Also-
if they just came back and maybe they play like 1 or 2 hours every night, and
well, with the new login system, if you play 1 or 2 hours every night and you just came back, you're going to get tomes. If you've come back at the announcement of Heart of Thorns, which, to be fair, most of the people coming back came back when they heard about Heart of Thorns announcement, which is months at this point. So they've been experiencing the new login system. They've been getting the level up tomes. They should be damn near close to 80 anyway. Not to mention getting the celebration boosters, the birthday boosters that I'm sure they have, because like the 3 characters I had on my account after I stopped playing, because I stopped playing the game after like the first month of the release. So I had 3 birthday boosters, which I still have one running on my my engineer, who is my primary Silver Waste character. They've got all the tools. Like ArenaNet has given everybody the tools to quickly level.
yeah, I agree. I just find it interesting that if they wanted to get people, I mean, like we said, I've seen level 80s that can't do level 80 content. I mean,
And the
They
only
probably
thing
won't be able to get a beta drop then because they'll be dead most of the time.
well, they still
But-
get credit for the events.
yeah, I was gonna say all you gotta do is tag an event; it drops from events.
Well, and that it's an RNG system. It's not going to be perfect. It's not perfect
yeah,
by
I
any
mean,
means.
Langdus in chat brings up another good reason, the people that only play PvP. But the counter to that is Dry Top and the Silver Wastes are the prototypes for
And
the way the events work in Maguma, and I'm assuming they're going to want to start testing all of that. So the only thing I can think of is they're trying to stress test the events and the event chains and everything in order to see how things might fare under stress. So, hey, loot the super rare item. People flood the Silver Waste. They have multiple maps going on at the same time. It helps stress test everything and helps them bug test for things.
And when you say, what about people who only play PvP, they're not going to be interested in a PvE beta. They don't care. do something different for an extended stronghold beta for PvP players, but it doesn't affect them.
They're
So
they're
why
going to
would they
have
care?
to once they get the PvP balance. Once they get the balance changes, then they're going to have to do like another stronghold test or another
Yeah.
just extended PvP beta test once they get all the changes in.
Like don't give PvP players. I mean, it wouldn't be bad to give them a chance at this beta, I suppose. I'd just say don't do it until you include both Stronghold and the Maguma content so that the PvPers have their PvP content to test. Because people who only play PvP do not care about PvE beta testing. It doesn't matter to them.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention that even, and this is not disparaging to PvP players, if you never play PvE, if you have never been interested in PvE, your perspective is going to be limited, and as such, your feedback would be limited, just because your lack of perspective.
Yeah, and what you said, Langdis, here, what if they want their opinion? They probably don't, just to be blunt.
Well,
we don't.
that's what I was basically saying, is it's
Yeah.
not that they might not want your opinion, it's just through personal choice of doing stuff, you don't really have the basis to give a
Yeah.
good opinion.
Though I think ultimately it comes down to we're now picking at like one or two cases. Like there's going to be outliers for all this, unfortunately. Because I could even go back and say, what if someone played Guild Wars 2's PvE, didn't like it, but liked the PvP? What if they played that new content and said, this is what I wanted originally, and you didn't deliver to me? And like I said, that's a hypothetical one case. I think ultimately, yeah, they're going to probably gravitate towards the PvEers. I ultimately hope that if they do another Stronghold, like more intense test on it, and maybe even World v. World, they put something in, like for PvP, do a special PvP track. And for World v. World, maybe it's only a drop in World v. World, or...
I would be interested to see them spread the, get rid of like those massive World v. World achievements, or maybe just kind of push them off in the corner.
I was going to
as,
say,
like,
don't get rid of them.
Yeah,
I
don't
like
get
how
rid of them.
crazy
They
they
can
are.
just go sit in a corner and be like that long-term achievement point goal thing. I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind seeing reward tracks in World v. World.
Like repeatable ones or just more manageable ones.
Either repeatable or like actual reward tracks, like in PvP.
Something that you could attain, basically.
Something that's unique to World versus World. I mean, you've got, what is it, the Glorious Armor track
Mhm.
from PvP?
For PvP, yeah.
Yeah, do something like that for World versus World, and you get points along the track for capturing keeps, killing keep lords, killing Doliacs. Obviously, different values for these different things, just like World v. World experience. But
I mean, theoretically, that's their World v. World tournament system. There's unique rewards for that in the Mistforged skins, but they don't do those often enough.
yeah, I'm talking about something that is constant, like the
And
reward.
chat is saying,
Available for you to do.
if they did World v. World drops, the World v. World players would be angry because non-World v. Worlders would take up slots. Isn't that what we're just arguing in the reverse?
Well, and that's another reason why it's important to keep. This is going to be a PvE beta, so to keep the beta drops in PvE, because you don't want people outside getting annoyed about inexperienced people flooding their game type.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, like, we're kind of going off the beaten path of it. I hope they do a mechanic, or they have already one set in mind for maybe testing the new World v. World maps and the new, Stronghold in PvP. I kind of want to look at this idea of the mechanic of maybe, like, basically doing the random beta selection in-game. Like, do you think they could extend this to other things to make some of the zones more active? Like, in Guild Wars 1, you had those special weekends where you got double XP or double, Balthazar points or, any of those things on certain weekends. What if they said, like, oh, in the Shiver Peak zones, or maybe a specific one, for killing mobs and completing events, you have a chance, and it might be as low of a chance as this, to get X amount of gems this weekend only, or for a week, or whatever. Like, would you like to see that kind of thing to maybe move people?
Rather, something like that would be better as a region thing. I already hate these zone-specific event completer dailies. That would just make it even worse. So
Yeah, if it was like in the Shiver Peaks or something like that, that would be better. But it's the type of promotion. Lots of free-to-play games do promotions like that, and obviously buy-to-play is just the next step on the rung. So a promotion like this would work equally well for buy-to-play games. So
yeah.
I'd be
Also,
all for it.
going with what Carnifex was saying, now that I think about it, if you get gems for killing something, loot
Well, it's not
chances.
guaranteed.
I know, not guaranteed, but if that coincides with a zone event completer, it's possible you're going to throw, gem values all out of whack.
Well, I won't lie. With this method, I'm trying to get rid of that zone complete. I hate that daily zone completer.
Well, like I've said before, I want it to be region event completer, but
Yeah. I mean, we could rant for hours
Yeah.
on how bad the dailies are, but what they would do in a promotion like this is they'd make it a chance to get a certain item as a drop out of the gem store rather than just give you the gems, because that way the system's not abusable.
right. Because then you could turn your gems into gold and destabilize the trading post market too. So it's
Well,
it's
and
like
I'm saying, like, if it ever got too extreme, like they felt maybe people aren't going to keep buying them because that, or trading them because that balance is so off. And we are seeing that. I mean, that the conversion is kind of against the player. I mean, like I'm saying, it shouldn't be like every weekend.
the conversion of gold to gems is probably intentionally prohibitive. I mean,
Well, yeah.
they want you to buy them with money, not with in-game gold. So it's one of those things where it's like, I have billions of gold, which I don't think you can get. I don't
I don't
know
think anyone's gotten yet.
Yeah, that's kind of extreme, but you have tons of gold on hand, and you have literally nothing to do. You've got all the legendaries you want, you've got all the gear you want, all the characters you want. What do? That suit of armor on the gem store looks really awesome.
I mean, and since we're generally talking about like maybe these like weekend mechanics, in chat they're saying, they're surprised they're not doing double XP weekends. I feel they kind of in a way have done that, because I know Malfanis, you've said you came back during like the Battle of Lion's Arch, where you could basically farm the crap out of that. I mean,
I think I came back like right at the end of the whole crate obelisk shard thing, like right before the Nightmare Tower.
Yeah.
well,
but
yeah,
it
and
was-
they're saying no one cares about XP,
Yeah,
but
that was.
it's
Aaron on
I
that
said
one.
that.
yeah, I know, but you do if you're leveling up, and it can entice new people to come in.
Leveling's so easy though. Like
Well,
this is
but-
like the easiest game to
But
level
You got to
up.
admit though, skill points are still currency. Double XP weekends will mean, if they do that, double XP weekends will mean more in Heart of Thorns because it's progress on your mastery tracks. So
that
and
means-
that's why I'm saying they kind of had that with the events they've had in the past. Now Season 2 kind of did away with those. I mean,
What you're saying is that if they did a double XP weekend, I should buy a bunch of Rust Tooths because those will go down during that period, and then I should sell them all after it's over and they go back up.
for the skill points that you need to make them.
Yeah, because
Ideal-
that's what people make with skill points is Rust Tooth. It's really good.
I was gonna
money
say,
making.
if people do that with Rust Tooth, then yes, that would be what you would want to do. But
That would honestly be taking advantage of a double XP weekend.
You
And
guys heard it here first.
yeah,
it's a totally like if they did that right now under the current skill point system, that is a totally legitimate use of a double XP weekend. That's playing the market based on market trends from external factors. That's legit.
yeah.
So
Well, I mean, let's go like move away from this mechanic, this event thing that we just made up in ArenaNet. We'll wait for our check. That's fine. But back once again to points of interest. They talked about, they were showing off one of the new mobs, which they did say, I wish I would have brought my reflections on my Mesmer. So hopefully reflectable projectiles, because can't find those in the world. Ugh. But we'll find out that Mesmers only can reflect it, not Guardians or something.
you're just annoyed you can't reflect bears.
Yes, I am. But while they were fighting that thing, the minimap showed the zone name, and it was the Falls. And we really haven't heard about that.
Well, I mean, it's named Magus Falls on the Guild Wars 2 map, so
well, but I mean, it's a zone that we haven't. I don't think they've shown us yet. Is the
no. I mean, it's right at the heart of the area that we were pretty sure we'd be going to for the expansion, though. But yeah, this is the first official, like, as in it was in the game engine and they data mined it, that we've heard about the Falls Zone in Guild Wars 2.
yeah,
It was a zone in Guild Wars 1, obviously.
Yeah, that shaman had an image, and he overlaid it with like the Guild Wars 1 map that shows like kind of like little points of interest and stuff, and I definitely think it's intriguing. Basically, it showed, I think it was 2 points of interest. One was Temple of Balthazar, and for the life of me,
Zin's laboratory, Zin's underground laboratory was the other one. It's just called underground something.
Yeah, that was it.
It wasn't called,
or
but it's
something
the
like that.
ruins of Zin's underground laboratory from Guild Wars 1. What I was wondering about that map is, were the POIs actually part of the data mine, or did he overlay the POI
Those
markers
were
on?
overlain from Guild Wars 1.
Okay, so
Pretty
it's not those locations aren't guaranteed to be on that map, correct?
Yes, it could, for whatever reason, be shifted or moved, but ArenaNet's been fairly good about that.
Oh yeah, I'd be amazed if we didn't get those locations, but like the POIs themselves weren't data mined.
No.
It was confusing to me because he used the Guild Wars 2 POI symbol, so I was like, well, I don't know if these were data mined or not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those were just. So we might see like the ruins of Balthazar, which, I mean, you do see, like, the gem store usually sometimes mirrors that kind of stuff. And I mean, we did have the Balthazar outfit, and we speculated on like what that could be, and I mean, could this pertain to the future story of Heart of Thorns?
Yeah.
I mean, I hope so. Ideally.
I mean,
basically, there's not much that these could have. I mean, these could have to do with the main story. I couldn't really tell you how at this point, but a lot of people are thinking. So basically, in Guild Wars 1, you could enter the Underworld and the Fissure of Woe from specific temples in each of the 3 games, but there was a bit of an oddball. There was a bit of an oddball area in Guild Wars 1. There was a Grenth Shrine in Lornar's Pass, which was way far away from the Temple of the Ages, where you entered the Underworld and Fissure of Woe. And you could enter the Underworld from this Grenth Shrine in the middle of nowhere in Lornar's Pass. Now, what people are thinking is, what if they do the same thing with this Balthazar statue in the Falls, and let us enter the Fissure of Woe from there, and boom, Fissure of Woe in Guild Wars 2. It'd be super cool.
See, I kind of feel bad.
Yeah,
This is having far less impact on me because I didn't get that far in Guild Wars 1.
Dude, we got to take you to the Fissure of Woe.
We'll get
It
there.
was a very.
I mean, you know, with
so.
HOD coming, we have downtime. We just have to have time.
Well,
That's always the hardest.
time is such a big deal with this podcast today.
Yeah, I was in the Underworld the other day, and it was very fun.
Yeah,
But
and you were talking about the points, the locations. Is the one that really stood out to me was the statue of Balthazar in Plains of Ashford, or Badazar, as it were, and they really have been very good about keeping locations the same, or at least making it seem that this is what this location would have looked like after 250 years or so.
Yeah, I hold little doubt that temple will still be there.
Or ruins of some kind, or
Yeah.
like, I mean, we know nothing about the story. Maybe someone did have upkeep on it. We don't know.
Exactly.
It might be in pristine condition, or it might be falling apart.
It could be a dungeon. Because
Don't do that.
well, because this temple it shares its architecture with a temple in the Underworld, behind the doors of which there's doors at the back of this that you can't get through in Guild Wars 1, and this model in the Underworld you can go through the doors and you fight Doom. But in Guild Wars So in this temple in the Maguma jungle, you could never get through those doors at the back of this temple outline. So theoretically, there could be a whole like inner complex to this temple behind
Oh yeah.
those doors that you can never get to in Guild Wars 1.
By me saying don't do that, I meant don't do that because I would be in it too much. Like,
Spend way too much time in that dungeon.
yeah, I'd be like,
Temple of Balthazar dungeon, that would be amazing.
I'd be like, dude, we're doing a speed run. I'm like, give me a sec. I'm looking. Ooh, that's an interesting carving right there.
And actually,
Sightsee, leave me alone.
Yeah.
before someone crucifies me in chat or in YouTube comments, I believe in the underworld you couldn't actually go through the doors in that temple. You went around the back of the ice wastes, and that was where you would.
But right now we have the map up, and it is the farthest like southwest point on that furthest west bubble.
And that's
is the Temple Balthazar.
like when you're going through the falls in Guild Wars 1 and you find that area for the first time. That was such a cool moment for me. That was bonkers. Because you're in the middle of this jungle and then there's this fully constructed, strange temple. It's like, who built this? Why is this here? It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, definitely the possibilities, because that was never really, like, it wasn't part of the story in the sense of it led you to there. I don't think any of the even side quests did that really.
That's
It was just there.
That's something that happens a lot in Guild Wars 2. Because I know the personal story, like there are areas in the map where the personal story doesn't even let light take you near.
Like all those cool locations you go to in Guild Treks that are just like, this is awesome. Why doesn't this have like an event around it or something?
Why is this not more important? So
yeah, exactly.
Though also on the flip side of those locations in the Guild Trek where you're like, go to the second floor of this person's inn. Okay.
Or do the most stupid jumping puzzle in the game.
That's a thing. Like I'm sure they're gonna add more locations for those. Like that's getting off topic, but that'll be definitely interesting.
That'll be awesome.
Maybe you have to get to the top of the head of the Balthazar statue on the temple.
Exactly. It's not gonna.
You guys are just excited about seeing the Balthazar temple.
I am.
I think there's probably a lot of people out there that are too. I mean,
I'm sure people are excited for the ruins of Zin's lab too, because that quest chain was a really fun one in Guild Wars 1. But I'm more excited about the temple, to be perfectly honest.
Well, and I mean, is there anything else you guys are looking forward to for the falls, or is there a zone that you want them to resurrect that's relatively in the area?
So in the falls, there was a drop that people would go there to farm, and that drop was the Totemax, and it had a very unique skin, and it formed a very unique function of being a caster axe, which was something that would give you enchantment increase and energy increase. And that was the only place in the game you could get Totemaxes, and I hope they do some sort of homage in the falls where you can get a Totemax somehow.
Like a special skin axe drop?
Yeah, like the only monsters that dropped it in Guild Wars 1 were the root behemoths, which were pretty much worms, and that would be awesome if you could, farm it off of root behemoths in the falls in Guild Wars 2, where there's like a vendor that you can trade something to it for or something. I'd really want to see Totemax.
Well, I was going to say, for points of interest, did anybody else laugh when they kind of put in a bunch of little raptors? Like, it's going back to what Chat was saying, with these squirt, like they call it the squirter-looking mob, and I think I saw people in the live stream for it referring to it like that. But they also showed like raptors, and I just thought of, and I'm sure Aaron knows about this, raptor farming in Guild Wars 1. Like,
I did my fair share of raptor farming. Vetier farming's better, but I did my fair share of raptor farming.
But I mean, to answer Chat's question of the thoughts of that, like big, like I think it was just like a behemoth or something, like, and it just shot like scales at you. Like, what did you guys think about that mob? It was like rapid fire scales being shot at you.
I thought it was a really well animated monster in that its like shell around it kept like moving and stuff, and yeah, it was very well made in my opinion.
I didn't get the chance to see the live stream or the VOD of it yet. I've been.
Get off the show.
I'm sorry. I went to see Age of Ultron last night. I apologize.
Call yourself a Guild Wars 2 player.
No, it's always kind of annoying that they air POI at noon on a Friday, because it's like Friday at noon on a Friday. Most people are work at noon on a Friday.
Is it noon
PST? So are they.
Or is it PST or is it EST? No, it's noon because it's noon for you. Yeah, no, that's I'm winding down for work at that point, so I don't even have the chance to watch it live.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to be fair, they are also at work and they're doing.
I know,
they
but
get to play
I
games
don't
for work.
see. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people who want to tune in probably can't tune in, but they have to do it at that time because any later they'd be staying late at work, and that would be stupid.
And it kills me that they don't upload the VOD to YouTube until like a week after.
It takes them a little while.
But Dolphy uploads it 5 minutes after it's done airing.
And you can always look at the past broadcasts. So, but yeah, I'm excited to see like more of the different mobs. Like I responded in chat saying as long as you can actually reflect, because they did mention that. But you know, like Malthanas made fun of me. I want to reflect the bears, which are during the bounty with Harathi Hinterlands, the Skritt that throws bears. I want to reflect those back at him because I think it'd be hilarious. As long as you can truly reflect these, because the guy that was designing it, he's just the guy that's also doing Mesmers, so I don't know if he is on the team to design the mobs as well. So I don't know if he knows it can be reflected or not. Fingers crossed, but I really want to have more reflectable things.
Yeah, there's I guess that's the only problem is a lot of stuff that looks like a projectile, because I'm guessing that there are so many things that are coded as a projectile that are reflectable, so it's just as a native part of what it is to be a projectile in Guild Wars 2, and then I can only imagine the number of special objects that are not technically projectiles that we have to deal with PvE stuff.
I mean, basically what that stems from is they made the players too powerful. Like the skills we have access to are too powerful for the monsters, so they had to cheat and decode some stuff to make the monsters more viable.
It's something that I'm used to, even coming from World of Warcraft, whereas Paladin, you could block either all physical damage or all damage period on yourself, and apparently as I'm still a moderator for an MMO, for a World of Warcraft fan site, it's just been increasingly getting worse and worse, much like it has in Guild Wars, where nope, that goes through that, that goes through that, that goes through that. So
yeah. It's what happens when there's like too many abilities and stuff in your game. It's game design, so.
Well, to be fair, like I don't think they've done anything with that in PvE, which is where that would, or PvP, I should say, where that would be, that would be kind of weird if a ranger rapid fires you and it goes right through your reflect wall as a guardian. So, like PvP, everything works the way you expect.
They made the players too powerful. I mean, technically, I'm just using that guy's skill. They made the enemies too powerful and look too threatening, so I had to use my reflect wall. It's their fault, not mine.
Well, I suppose if you look at the newly designed stuff, I mean, what is it? Platinum? The Mordrum Platinum champion, the one in blue?
Yeah.
Like, you need to bring reflects there. You need to bring reflects to middle lane, or the second boss, I should say, because it's not always middle lane, for Vinewrath. So it's very clear that they're like, okay, yes, this guy has a projectile. You can reflect it. There.
It makes the fight easier because you don't really need, like, you can get away with a couple, like if people bring reflex, but it's not like it's just vital if someone messes up.
It's the poison.
But if you mess up too much,
projectiles have. That's the big deal. Like it's not so much the bouncing projectile does much damage. It's the poison that comes with it that makes it really hard to survive the fight because of the healing debuff.
And kind of the last topic we have, it kind of relates to Gem Store in a sense that we didn't really get any new Gem Store items, I don't believe, but they did bring back the Black Lion, like a new Black Lion trading weapon set, which is the Balthazar weapons, which, if you don't know, they were implemented in Guild Wars 1 for the 10th anniversary. And I think last week, unfortunately I wasn't here, but they were definitely speculating that they're probably guaranteeing it was going to show up, and lo and behold, they did. Have any of you picked it up? I mean...
They look bad.
I like the greatsword.
The greatsword isn't bad because it looks very swordy instead of just like a giant corn dog. But yeah, the rest of them.
Now you're actually selling it to me.
The rest of them are pretty bad. The staff's okay.
The staff and the scepter aren't bad, and neither is the warhorn. I don't like warhorn skills, so I'm not going to get it. Sadly, the shield looks pretty cool.
I weirdly liked the axe a little bit, but the rest of them I was like, I think I liked the design, but I was probably like, to use at this time they're one black line ticket. They'll probably go up, or I doubt they'll go away. They'll probably put them up at a higher rate. But yeah.
Oh, and one thing we'll also want to make note of. Chat just reminded me the tormented and chaos weapons are back down to one black lion ticket.
Yeah, and I was actually gonna bring that up. Comparing these weapons and the chance to, like Chat said, the chaos weapons and tormented weapons are back down to one ticket for kind of the Guild Wars 2 or Guild Wars 1 10th anniversary. Or would you be more inclined to use one black lion ticket on those sets, or the Balthazar weapons?
One of those. One of the chaos or tormented for sure.
I'd have to look at them because I'm not terribly familiar with the skins, but
the chaos ones were the all white kind of.
Okay, they're just like basic models, but they're glowy and white.
They're basically radiant weapon skins.
Okay.
Yeah, they're based on like the chaos gloves from Guild Wars 1 and the Halo axe, which was or where they just called chaos axes.
It was a chaos axe.
Okay.
Yeah,
the axe was first. The gloves came later.
And the tormented ones, those are the purple crystally looking ones, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say crystally, but yeah, they have
They're
a
like
purple,
a dark,
like an oily
crystal.
metal looking.
Yes, oily metal is the perfect descriptor for that.
Yeah, if you want oily metal weapons, torment weapons are the way to go.
Hey,
50% chance to drop your weapon in combat.
Purple torch. That's all I'll say. Everybody, go get the tormented torch. Actually, don't, because I like being unique with it.
You like being a snowflake?
Yeah.
With your torch.
Mm-hmm.
Though, if you want to crush Aaron's hopes and dreams, you can pick it up right now for one black line ticket.
I kind of want to get the Chaos Scepter though, because I think it would go well with my Guardian.
I don't know. Like looking through the I'm probably still gonna I think I have 7 scraps. I'm trying to get a ticket, but I'm looking at I like the pistol. The pistol actually has good weight for the Balthazar set. Rifles, it almost feels like a lot of the rifles seem like they're not quite sure what to do with it to make it look like it's part of a weapon set.
They're just big versions of the pistol.
Yeah, well, not even because the rifle one has like the big wolf head near the firing mechanism of the rifle. So it's like, how do I load? Do I go through the eye socket or something?
Yeah. I think the rifle's dumb. The pistol is too square and blocky for me. I don't like that look on a pistol. I like a more cylindrical barrel.
Well, yeah, you like your aetherized pistols for the revolver look, so you like the more classic pistol. I mean, the Balthazar one looks like a pretty weighty Magnum style pistol, so I kind of like it for that. But the sword, I get where they were going with the wolf's head, where it was like kind of a handguard, but they went a little overboard with it because it's like the size of your character's head. And it's like you're wielding around these giant lumps of metal wrapped around your hand. I realize it's a fantasy game, but Guild Wars is usually pretty good about that stuff. So, I don't know. It seemed odd to me.
Yeah, I'm not the hugest fan of these, and I think I'm on the same side of I would probably pick up Chaos weapons and Tormented weapons before those, but once again, I think it's a running thing of I can appreciate it, but
you don't have a character.
Maybe these ones aren't for me. These are probably the few weapon skins where I just was I couldn't really see us using them on any of my characters.
Magnus could use the great sword. It's a pretty awesome looking great sword.
I have Volcanus, dude. You can't get better than Volcanus.
I beg to differ.
No, you're just wrong. I'm sorry. I don't care. Legendary.
Look, you both take your particle effects and get.
I was gonna say Sunrise. That's all I'll say.
And the other thing I do have a bit of a gripe about with foci in general is their
pointlessness.
It's like it's a handle attached to a thing, and I'm just like,
yeah.
What is this?
It's like there's no definition for it. They just make it anything they want.
It's an object, and then they just kind of weld a handle to it, and it's like...
Yeah. It's like, is this a statue?
Right, it's like someone ripped it. It's like someone was doing a bronze sculpture of a wolf, and they got the head done. It's like, let's put a handle on it.
Which that's why I don't use focus on any characters, because the skins are all awful. The only one I like is the anomaly. That's just this little ball of shimmery purple around your
It
hand.
just kind of floats around your
Yeah,
hand, right?
because that at least in a like makes sense magically. The rest of them are just like, oh, it's a trinket.
Adam?
No, I don't like Adam because you don't hold it.
Ambrosia.
No, not into
Well,
that.
that's because you like getting drunk while playing your Norn.
And I feel they should get drunk as well. It's so nice. But I mean, unfortunately, we are running out of time, so we're going to wrap up. And if you're watching the VOD, make sure to tune in live over at twitch.tv/talkingskrit. That way, we're probably going to keep going with a little bit of an after show, so you definitely tune in live, and every Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern. And Aaron, where can they find you on the internet?
I'm at Guild Wars Monk on Twitter, and I write at guildmag.com.
And Jim, where can they find you?
I can be found on Twitter at MalthanusMMO.
And you can find me at simply_day on Twitch and Twitter. I'm hopefully after the show and after the after show setting up a green screen, because that's kind of the final thing I wanted to do, so that'll definitely be awesome, and want to try some streaming. But you can find us all at GameBreakerNation.com. And if you're worried, like maybe it's not just the Guild Wars 2 Guild, we have Final Fantasy XIV. They're having their expansion. Elder Scrolls Online's been buy to play. You know, they're getting content. World of Warcraft, League of Legends, Star Citizen. We just keep growing with members like you. So if I didn't list the game and you have a group of friends that want a great community to play with, head on over to GameBreakerNation.com, sign on up, and as always, we will see you in the game. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.